It certainly is a privilege to have Mr. Kurt Braun, our chairman of the board, with me today as we share with you a special report to LCA families, faculty, and friends. What I would like to do for just a couple of moments is take you through a very brief history of Lexington Christian Academy, where we've come from and where we are today. You may be aware of some of this history, but I hope for every one of you there will be at least a new piece of information that you maybe have not heard before. In 1989, Lexington Christian Academy was the result of a merger of two schools, the Academy and Lexington Christian School. There were approximately 600 students at the time, and the Lexington Christian Academy was located on a number of churches throughout the Lexington community. Let's fast forward for a moment to 1996. In those intervening years between 1989 and 1996, LCA grew to a size of almost 1,100 students. And every year there was the challenge to try to find a new site to host the kids, to put the classrooms, the teachers, and to be able to handle this growing population. Starting in 1995, the board of directors began looking for a permanent site for the Lexington Christian Academy and for its many, many students. As we moved to 1996, actually it was March of 1996, the board purchased what is now the Rose campus, but at the time was the Reynolds Tobacco Stemming Facility. Now, if you've been on this campus, you realize this is a very large building. It's 210,000 square feet, and when it was purchased, 50 acres was purchased in addition to the building. Within the next year, a donor gave to the school an additional 25 acres, which gives us a 75-acre campus today and the 210,000 square foot facility. Between 1996 and 1999 was a great time of construction and accreditation and dealing with a number of academic issues in the school. Just as the school was purchased, this property in 1996 in March, I came to the school in June of 1996. So I came right after the purchase and was part of that great excitement of all of the LCA families. During the 1996 to 99 time, we worked on raising the funds to start building out portions of this facility. 16 months after I came, we went through the first accreditation process with the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, received our full accreditation, which we have to this day. It's very hard to describe all that happened between 96 and 99. But on January 11th, 1999, over 200 students in a caravan of cars from Southland Christian Church, which is where the high school was located at the time, came for their new residence on the campus here at the Rose campus and the new high school facility. If you've been in the facility, you understand that if you come in the front door and you kind of go to the right, you've got the 100 hallway. And if you know about halfway down the hallway, that's where the high school students enter the campus each day. That was the extent of the high school at that time. It was just that piece of the hallway. We had the chapel, it was a concrete floor, and there were a couple of science classrooms in the 200 hallway. Between 2002 and 2005, LCA went through a considerable time of construction and consolidation. It was at this time that one of our key churches, the Emmanuel Baptist Church, worked with us as they were constructing their education facility to allow us to work with them in designing that facility so that it could house our 4th through 6th grade students. A couple of years later, we did a renovation of the part of the campus at Emmanuel where we house our primary children. And so with their cooperation, by the time we get to 1995, 2005, boy, time can catch you off guard. By the time we got to 2005, we had constructed the intermediate at Emmanuel, done a rework of the primary. Our junior high was now here at the Rose campus, and our primary students moved in to this campus as well. In 2009, that could probably be considered the last time for a major completion of a construction project here at the Rose campus, and that was the Library Media Center. While there are still little things being done from year to year at the campus, that was the last major piece of construction on this campus. Where are we today? Well, since LCA's inception in 1989, we have graduated 1,602 students. This year we have 1,523 students enrolled in the system. The Rose campus is a $20 million campus. We have service and mission opportunities that reach out to the world. Over 99% of our students go on to college. Last year's graduating class had a 25.3 composite ACT score. We have 19 athletic teams and 2 club teams. And really, I could spend the next 10 minutes just listing the incredible accomplishments that have happened at this school. The Lord has been good to Lexington Christian Academy, now in its 24th year. But this past June, I informed the Board of Directors of my intent to retire at the close of the 2014-15 school year. The reason for such early notification is I wanted to give them adequate time to conduct a search for a new school leader and to provide for a smooth transition. So at this point, I'd like to give our board chairman, Mr. Braun, an opportunity to share those details with you.
Very good. Thanks, Dr. Gibbs. It's my pleasure to give you an update in terms of what the board and the leadership of the school would like to do as we move forward with our plans to find a successor for Dr. Gibbs. First off, I hope that you found Dr. Gibbs' comments helpful and just kind of in a fairly brief amount of time sharing with you the incredible history of LCA. For those families who are relatively new to the school, I suspect there was a lot of new information there. It's real easy to think that perhaps the LCA that we know right now is very similar to the school of, say, 15 or 20 years ago. But for those of us who've been around for a little bit longer than that, we know that LCA of today is so very different from the school of 15 years ago. And it's under Dr. Gibbs' leadership that we've been able to make incredible strides. As you know, right now, we are just blessed in so many ways with incredible academic offerings for our students, with integrated curriculum that really guides our children forward. We have a wide variety of extracurricular activities, as Dr. Gibbs has shared with you. And of course, we are blessed with some of the finest facilities of any school in the state of Kentucky, including the Rose campus here on Reynolds Road. Certainly, none of this would have been possible without the great leadership of Dr. Gibbs. But more importantly, as you listen to that brief history of the school, I hope you're struck, as I am, that there is no way we could have gone from the school of 15, 20 years ago to Lexington Christian Academy of today without incredible blessing from God. And we have been blessed throughout this incredible history. So now we're at a little bit of a crossroads, if I can say it that way. Now we find ourselves at a different point in time, but even in his retirement announcement, Dr. Gibbs has been kind enough to really help the school succeed, not just to this point, but also into the future. Because as he indicated, he really was worried about the school's future when he came to the board and announced that he would retire not at the end of this school year, but at the end of the following school year. We believe that that gives us ample opportunity to put a process together to identify the right candidate to move LCA forward. So let me share a little bit about what has happened already. When we received the news about Dr. Gibbs' plans, this summer we put together a group, a committee, that was formed in order to gather information as to what we believe will be the critical skill sets of the person who will succeed Dr. Gibbs in leading LCA forward. This committee is made up of both current and former LCA parents. That's the one common denominator. In terms of the makeup of this committee, the committee is represented by teachers, administrators, and current board members and former board members. We think we've got a great group that has already been hard at work talking to a wide variety of folks. They're getting their input as to the characteristics, both personal and professional, that different stakeholders here at the school believe are most important to identify the person who's going to provide the best fit to lead Lexington Christian forward into the future. So that work is already underway, and certainly we've already come across the fact that Everyone has a different opinion as to the exact profile of what the next leader of LCA might look like. But I'm very pleased to report that one constant in all of this input has been that one characteristic that the next leader of LCA will have is that they will be a spiritual leader. They will lead spiritually not just the school and the staff of LCA, but also the families and the children who choose to come to Lexington Christian Academy. We'll fill in the rest of the blanks as we go through this process, but I wanted to report that that is one constant that is non-negotiable. We will have a leader of LCA who will be a spiritual leader, as well as an incredible educator and administrator for the school. So let me tell you a little bit more about the specific plans and a little bit of a timeline, if I could. First of all, let me say that as we finish up this process of gathering input as to what is required in the next head of LCA, we're going to spend a little bit more time on that, but we feel as though by January of next year, we will be able to post the position publicly and start to receive interest from hopefully very well-qualified candidates from across the country in order to be considered for the position of the next leader of Lexington Christian Academy. This will give us the spring and maybe even into the summer a chance to vet all of those individuals, to be able to talk with those who we think might have the best fit to lead LCA forward, and eventually we hope to be able to report before next school year who the leader of LCA will be for the following school year, which of course is the 2015-2016 school year. So that's our plan, but keep in mind that's exactly what it is. It's our plan at this point. We don't want our plan to be in conflict with God's plan for how we would look for the successor to Dr. Gibbs. So as a result, we're going to hold on to those plans loosely. We know that if we pray expectantly, God may reveal some things in this process that we don't even anticipate at this point. Certainly, as you've come to understand a little bit more of the history of LCA, I hope you have appreciation for the fact that no one could have sat down 20 years ago and written out what has transpired here at LCA. God has blessed us in incredible ways, and we're confident that if we pray expectantly, that God will bless us once again. So that leads me to make one request of all of you who are part of the LCA family. Just as the board and leadership of LCA will be praying throughout this entire process, I would ask that you would come alongside us and that all LCA families would make it a prayer request in their family, in their regular prayer time, that God would show us the right person who would come onto our hearts and onto our minds as the right fit to be the next head of Lexington Christian Academy. I can assure you that we will have an incredibly successful search process if the families of all 1,500 plus students at LCA are praying expectantly alongside us. Now, I know that it's a choice to be part of the LCA family. I appreciate that you've made that choice. Thanks for being part of the LCA community.